Hi, this is Misha, and it's been a little bit since I've done a Battlestar Galactica ship history, overview, review, view, preview, whatever view. There aren't that many, either in the Eagle Moss collection, as it just started last year, or really in the whole universe, which I think is good. I mean, it gave them time to really flesh things out. We already had a review early on, as it was the first in our collection, for the original Viper Mark II. And here in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to show you the Viper Mark VII, which was the newest, most cutting-edge Viper in the reimagined Battlestar. But here we have the original in two different ways. This is the original Viper from the 1978 series, and it's also considered the Viper Mark I, the immediate predecessor to the Viper Mark II. And I've said before, what I really like about how they did the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, they kept a lot of the original ships in. They might have changed their names or kind of their roles, but they kept pretty much all the ships from the original series in. And the Mark I Viper is no exception. Of course, in the original series, this was just the Colonial Starfighter. It had laser cannons and was fast, and I mean, it was their version of an X-Wing for all intents and purposes. But of course, that series was cut short. Didn't get a lot of time with it. When they introduced the miniseries, the pilot episodes, really, of the reimagined, they showed a Mark I in the museum display, along with other elements from the first Cylon War, making this an in-universe ship there as well. And what we know is the Mark I was the Colonial Starfighter prior to the outbreak of the Cylon War, and it was frontline for at least the first couple of years. This was developed on Caprica, and it was originally made to work with Battlestars to help quell pirates, any other kind of threats. It was a very advanced ship, ironically much more so than the Mark II, which was a more stripped down version for the war. The Mark I had a very sophisticated autopilot or AI co-pilot. Now, of course, in the reimagined, it would have had flat cannons or other types of projectile weapons, not lasers. These would be its primary armament, although it could mount missiles. It had great sensors. It was extremely maneuverable, also very fast, honestly to the point of making it difficult to control by untrained pilots because of its huge engines. This also meant it could burn through its onboard fuel pretty quickly if a pilot wasn't, mindful. Because of the enhanced sensors, advanced avionics, control systems, autopilot, all that stuff, The Mark I was a little cumbersome to mass produce, which was fine considering it was adopted, went into service during a time of relative peace. I mean, this was a very advanced, top-of-the-line fighter, but when you didn't need all that many, you could afford to produce them. However, once the war kicked off, things changed. For one, its artificial intelligence and enhanced electronics and avionics were seen as a potential liability to Cylon infiltration. Also, it was just really resource and time intensive to produce. They could not make the Mark I in the kinds of numbers that they needed for the war. Plus, it was more difficult to train pilots on to use successfully, and its ability to carry missiles or other types of bombs, ordnance, was kind of limited. It mostly was a fast kind of gunship type thing. So that's why the Mark II came out with a better ability to carry ordnance. It was a little easier to fly, much easier to mass produce, and it had a very basic control suite for the pilot. And that's our in-universe history. In the real world we live in, at least the simulation we call the real world that we live in. This was the original Viper, as I said, and the Mark II is based off of it, but updated for the modern era. But again, they paid homage by including this in the original Cylon War Museum, which is pretty nice. This model is quite long and large. The body is metal, the wings are polymer. Cannons are here. It is damn neat. Now, I have to be honest, I kind of still like the Mark II better, but the Mark I is no slouch. One thing I do like about this model more than the Mark II is how it mounts. It actually sticks up between these wing roots and is much more stable and secure on its stand. The Mark II I've not knocked off yet, which means as soon as I'm done with this video, I will do it by accident. It'll happen because I said I haven't done it, but this one is just really stable. So that's always nice. As you know, we have cats. I do my best to protect these from them, but yeah, cats are really good at that kind of stuff. So yeah, the original Viper or the Mark I and the model from Eagle Moss. Knowing what the Mark II looked like and having some inkling of the Mark I from the original series, I wasn't super surprised to feel this one, but it's neat. I like its kind of simpler aesthetic, and it really completes the set. Now if I can just hurry up and get my Mark VII, I'll have a nice little Viper fleet. And then they need to start working on doing all the battle stars. I want Pegasus, the original Battlestar Galactica, and I'll take the Valkyrie too, and other kind of secondary battle stars, because that's just how I am. I'm kind of like having them all. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this, guys. And any questions or comments, do feel free to post them below. Appreciate you tuning in. This is Misha, and I will catch you next time.